Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to talk about what is the fat of Leviticus. In Leviticus 3:17 and also in Leviticus 7, we see the commands about not eating the fat. And naturally, we may wonder, what is this fat that we are not supposed to eat? What does the command mean? How do we apply it? In addressing this, I intend to show you some fat, and hopefully this will help clarify this issue for you. This is some of the tallow from a goat that I slaughtered, and I did not actually save all of the tallow, but this is some of it. And essentially, whenever you cut open the animal, it's just there. And just like it describes in Leviticus 3, it talks about the fat over the organs and around the organs and so forth. And whenever you gut the animal and you're working around there, you don't have to cut this out or anything. You just scoop it out by hand, and this is how I got this. And you can see that it's a distinct substance from what we would think of as fat, like the fat on a steak or something like that, the fat on the meat. And this is a waxy substance. It has a definitely different consistency when compared with the fat that's on the meat or marbled into the meat. And this is not cut out or anything. That most of it just comes out and it has this clumping kind of effect that it just kind of flakes off of it in a way. And there may be a little bit of residual that's on the meat, but for the most part, all of it comes off like this. And this was just stuff that I pulled off. I didn't have to cut this or anything, and it wasn't even all of it. So as you can see, it's definitely a distinct substance, and following the description in Leviticus 3 about the fat being extracted for the offering, this definitely seems to be what's being described in that chapter. So as we saw, this fat is distinct from what we normally consider to be fat. Obviously, the marbling on the muscle tissue or the fat that's on the meat generally is a very different substance from this. Now, that being said, there could be a presence of tallow in some foods. Now, obviously, if we are following a reputable kosher certification and buying foods according to those, they're going to be screening that out. It's not going to be in the ingredients. It's not going to be in the things they used to process the food that may not be listed in the ingredients. But if we're not doing that, it could come up. And this may be the case even if we're trying to call the company or do something like that, calling and asking about ingredients. They may say it has beef-derived ingredients, and we may not even think that, oh yeah, beef tallow is still a problem. It's still something that we are commanded to not eat. And so we need to account for that also. And it may be present in some foods that we may not expect. One example of this may be hamburger meat. Now, a lot of times they do not use tallow as the fat that they're mixing into the meat, but it is a possibility. Now, there are other things that it may be present in too. It may be present in bar soap, but obviously most of us are not going to be eating bar soap, so that's probably not going to be an issue. However, it could be also present in many pills. Magnesium stearate, although it is not always derived from tallow, it can be. That's where the term stearate comes from, is in relation to tallow. And so there is the possibility that magnesium stearate in certain pills is derived from tallow, so that would be a concern. So these are some things for us to be aware of. Hopefully this clears up the question. According to my understanding, the fat that we are prohibited from eating is the tallow. And if we go by what it says in Leviticus 3 and the preceding verses, it describes the fat being extracted for the offering and so forth. This very much seems to follow the description of the tallow. Based upon my understanding of it, this is what we are not eating. Thanks for watching, and feel free to check out some of my other videos on other Torah issues. And be sure to stay in touch so we can continue this discussion. Thanks for watching, and remember the commands. Shalom.